US oil. And in the on the US oil here in the last 24-48 hours, we have been experiencing a choppy scenario here on the US oil. And during the course of the live session yesterday, we were around this area here, that is around the $78 level, which we identified on the daily time frame. And remember, we have been enjoying a bearish momentum since the beginning of the week. As soon as price broke down that $80 level, respecting that descending channel, and we had some multiple entries which we added to our existing trade here right into the structure. But during the New York session yesterday, we saw a situation where price came back to our entry zone, taking us out on all the position we were in. That is all the sell position we were in yesterday with some profit though, and price has been consolidating somewhere around the $78.65 area in the last couple in the last 12-15 hours thereabout. Now, going into the New York session today, what is going to be our plan? How do we intend to take advantage of any trading opportunities for today? Well, when I looked at the chart this morning, the first thing I was able to do here is to identify this trend line, which we shall be using as a guide for our trading activities for today. So I was able to connect the series of higher lows here to give me that bullish trend line that you can see here. And as you can see, this trend line has been guiding bullish momentum in the last 24 hours. And this momentum actually led to the breakout of the resistant level of that descending channel we were able to figure out during the course of this week. So we saw the breakout of the trend line here. So I would like to extend this a little further to the future. Hold on a second so that we can see things more clearly here. So that is the trend line that we have here. That's the resistant level of the descending channel. However, in the last 1 hour here, we saw price finally breaking down that bullish trend line to emphasize that the sellers, that the trend line could no longer hold buy pressure. So we saw an engulfing candle around that area, which for me at this particular point in time is likely going to be a bearish signal. But the current structure we are in right now, it's quite at an equilibrium, as we need a little shift out of the structure to give us a better perspective of where price will be going. So now that we have a breakdown of the bullish trend line here, if we look at this from a technical standpoint, we should be expecting that price might likely come back to do a retest of that trend line, which also shares a confluence with the $78.65 level. We are selling pressure below the structure will further incite another wave of bearish momentum to the downside. And you know, since the beginning of this week, we have been witnessing bearish momentum, as you can see here. So we started the week at around we started the bearish momentum around the $80 level here at the beginning of the week, and we rode it all the way down. And though we had a breakout of the resistant level here, so we are a little a critical point here where price might likely do a retest of this resistant level. Remember, it was broken here yesterday, and then we might be seeing price come back and do a retest of that resistant level of that as descending channel to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So that is why I'm saying that we are at a critical point here where we need to be very patient to see how price action will be relating to the $78 level area, which also shares a confluence with the resistant point of the descending channel. So if you had missed out on this opportunity here right below the $78.65, that is a sell opportunity there, well, I will advise us to remain patient, as we are going to be looking out for two possibilities to happen here to probably join the bear momentum. And the first scenario is price comes back to do a retest of that structure followed by selling pressure on our lower time frame. We could actually join the decline to the downside, and if a further breakdown of the $78 level happens, then we want to be adding more position as we ride that momentum to the downside. So that is one scenario we are going to be looking forward to. Then the other possible scenario is that we might be having an outright breakdown of the $78 level during the New York session today. And if that happens, which also shares a confluence with that resistant level of the descent, a retest of structure followed by selling pressure below this level will be giving us a sign that we should be joining that bearish momentum to the downside. So at this point in time, considering this breakdown of this bullish trend line here, it is appropriate that we start looking out for selling opportunities at this point. So as long as price remains below that bullish trend line and below the $78.65 level, we want to continue to look out for selling opportunities. So we have a simple structure here that we shall be using to guide our trading activities for today, and that is this bullish trend line here, which appears to have been broken in the last 1 hour here. Then if price continue to trade below the $78.65 level, which also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line, we continue to look out for selling opportunities there. And if price continue to break down those structures that we identify here at the 78, we have another one at the $77.60 level, a breakdown retest of the structure on our lower time frames will be giving us another opportunity to add more position to our existing trade here. So that is what we are going to be looking forward to today on the US oil. And before I close the curtain here on the US oil, I would like us to quickly have an holistic view of what is really going on the daily time frame, so that we can see if the sell momentum we are looking at on the 1 hour time frame is actually valid. So scaling up a little bit to the daily time frame. So this is what we have here under the lows. And when we zoomed into what has been happening here in the last couple of months, we noticed that price was caught initially caught within a channel that is between the $93.50 level, which was holding selling pressure, and then we had the $78 area, which was holding buy pressure, before we finally witnessed the breakdown of that demand zone here at the beginning of this month. And that was a very good signal that we might likely be having a trend continuation to the downside. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a breakdown of structure like this, we expect that price will likely come back to a retest of structure to incite another wave of bearish momentum. And what we can see here now shows that we have been witnessing selling pressure right around the $80 level since the beginning of the weeks, giving us a sign that sellers are still very, very strong in this market. And we might likely see a situation where price will continue to the downside right below the $78 level, followed by selling pressure right below the structure on our lower time frame to give us that leverage to join that or add more position to our sell position that is currently running at those points in time. So this is what we are going to be looking forward to for today. So on the US oil, we are not looking forward to any buy opportunity here unless price breaks out of the $8 level, taking out all the sell position around this area to give us that opportunity to buy. So if we don't see a breakout of the $80 level, we will be placing the option to buy on hold. And as long as price remains below the $80 level or the $78 area, continue to hold on to our sell opportunity, sell position, and remain comfortable as we ride the move all the way down. So that is my scenario here on the US oil. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section. And if you think you want some further clarity on one particular aspect I just explained to you, feel free to drop your inquiries right in. So this is the 1 hour time frame once again. And remember, we've already identified a structure that we shall be using to guide our sell opportunity here. We have the bullish trend line on the 1 hour time frame. We have it right here. And in the last hour, we saw the breakdown of that trend line to signal the strength of the sellers at this point. And in fact, if we look at the structure here in the last 48 hours, we saw that breakdown of the $78.65 level. We have been selling pressure right around that area to further emphasize the strength of the sellers at this point. So every attempt by the buyers to break out of the $78.65 level has been met with strong resistance from the sellers. So what we are going to be doing now is to continue to remain on that sell position right now. And as long as price remain below the $78.65 level, a level which also shares a confluence with this bullish trend line, we remain comfortable in our sell position. And I told you here that we have two scenarios, especially for those who missed out of the breakdown of the $78.65. We have two scenarios we are looking forward to. One is the fact that we want to see how price action is going to be relating to the $78 level. And then if price probably by pressure coming here, and then we see a situation where price comes back into the 78.65 or probably the bullish trend line here, followed by selling pressure, then we want to be joining the decline to the downside. And the other scenario for selling opportunity here is if price breaks down the $78 level, then selling pressure below this level should be giving us an opportunity to join the decline to the downside. So these are my scenarios here. I will be running through the charts right now and see if there are any questions regarding what we just explained so far before we move on to the next option.